Welcome everybody to Last Call Gaming presents Top 5s. And on today's episode, guys, we are going to be talking about the top 5 video game villains.
That was kind of almost a mouthful, like V for Vendetta when he does that whole vivaciously speech.
You know what? Side story before we go any further. I actually had somebody challenge me, Casey Court, if I could do the V speech for like $20, and he gave me like 3 weeks to do it. I remember doing it in class, Mr. Vic's class, but I couldn't remember what that is now. Gone and forgotten.
Not a chance. But here and now.
Here and now in the present, guys, is the villain video games that we're going to be talking about. Now, today's category has been chosen by Andrew Montemayor, the Dick Dastardly Dog himself. So, essentially, I'll start off. We're gonna kind of rattle back a tennis court match of our top 5s, and the way I picked mine, and Andrew can set his prerogatives for how he picked his, is I wanted to pick characters that stood out from the game, that moved the game forward, that aren't necessarily my top 5 favorite villains of all time, but I feel like made these games extremely special. And that's kind of where I pulled my list from. So if you're ready to go, Andrew, I'm ready to go.
Mine's about the same. And this is a different list than boss fights. It doesn't have to be the main final boss that you fight in a game. It's just someone who's opposing your will.
Yeah, because I've asked, when me and Andrew kind of had a conversation about it, of what dictates, what clarifies, how do we want to move this around. And it is just guys you find as villains, opposing threats, obstacles in your way. So I'm going to start it off. And it's with a series that I haven't played since the PlayStation 1, maybe the PlayStation 2, with the Resident Evil franchise. Now, I'm a little out of touch with my horror games. Andrew very much coaxed me into this game. This is Resident Evil 7, and the character, of course, is Jack Baker, the daddy of this family, this grotesque incest kind of family that when you meet him, he's very just intimidating. He's the dad you don't want to meet when you're taking your bitch to prom.
Welcome to the family, son.
Oh, man.
Dude, very southern.
And even in the very beginning of this game, when you meet him and he does the dinner scene, right? Because I won't get into the context of the story of why you're there. The reason why this villain stands out is because when you meet him, he is an intimidating force.
Amazing first impression.
Amazing. Oh, one of the best. And he's just this guy that just commands he commands the screen. And then when you finally kind of run into him as a villain, he's the guy that's chasing you pretty much throughout the house.
Yeah,
at that slow Jason-esque speed.
Yeah, it's where you're, oh shit, I hear his footsteps now. I got to get whatever I can. And do I go out? Is he coming this way? Do I go that way?
And he's talking to you the whole time, right? So he's not just a silent, slow type. He's a guy going, "Come on, boy!
Yeah,
where are you at?"
Yeah.
Doesn't he have an axe? He's got this big fucking weapon, or a bat. Or
it's
something.
like I think it's a shovel.
Is it a shovel?
It's been a little bit since I played.
And
either way, it's very like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Very, yeah. This movie. You have me thinking movies. This game starts off movie-like, and it's just very intimidating.
I love that choice.
Very scary.
Great villain.
We will get it. I won't spoil the game for you, but he does continue to be an ever-growing threat in the game, and the more you kind of interact with him, the scarier it gets.
More a force of nature than a force of man.
Oh, well, not a Mandrew, of course. But so that is my 5 pick, Andrew. What is yours?
Oh, I like that one. That was a good one.
Thank you, sir.
I'll say my 5 pick, you may or may not have heard of, is called Serial Killer X, a.k.a. Leland Van Horn. I had to look up his real name because I forgot it.
Okay.
But it's from a game called Condemned. Did you ever play?
Ooh, 360.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, the box was white lettering with, like, was it a girl or somebody?
Yeah, with chains on the face and stuff.
I did play it. I don't remember getting ever too far into it to experience maybe all the villains, so
I remember it was one of... I loved it because it was an early Xbox 360 game. Great, very detective style to where you're looking for fingerprints, you're following like blood tracks with like your UV light. You're essentially this detective trying to solve crimes. And this person that you're tracking is actually like a copycat killer. So there's other serial killers out there. He's hunting down these killers and killing them in ways that are identical to the way they're killing people. 2 of the notable ones when you're like meeting him, I'd write them down again, would be one of them's called the Matchmaker. And what he does is he like takes women, kills them, and then sets them up like with like a table, like a nice dinner, and a male mannequin. Okay. But the male mannequin's face is like messed up. There's another person who's called the Torturer, who he's not technically a killer. He tortures people and then they kill themselves. So it's almost kind of like a predecessor to, I don't remember if the Saw had came out before this, maybe. But I want to say this came out before Dexter did.
I was just gonna say, I've
always been super interested in like the serial killer, like, you know, ethos, especially people like Siler, Dexter. And so this was like kind of my real first foray into that sort of world. Before that, I felt like these shows blew up, and so I thought it was absolutely, I instantly clicked. I thought it was great villain.
That's very a psychological kind of thriller of experiencing what this guy actually is capable of.
Yeah, exactly. It's someone you're tracking down a majority of the time, and that's what makes it even better, is doing all this detective work.
And that's number 5?
Yeah.
So, moving on, guys, to number 4. And again, I look at him as very kind of the villain that's you want to like to hate, but at the same time you love to hate him. It's Tantum Jack from the Borderlands series.
I haven't played, so
the guy is so charismatic that when you're playing this game, you almost, I don't want to say you want him to win, but he's so persuasive, and during the game you get some, like, you know, choices that you get to pick. But he's running this company, and you know, without giving spoilers or what the game's actually about, he's constantly making you feel like you're making the wrong choice. He's very open. He's very just, you know, commands this, you know, the scene time when he has it. And then when you get into like the siren picks, and because he becomes one of the last boss battles of the game, it's, I don't know, he's fun to mess with. He's fun to play with. And I think that Gearbox and 2K kind of recognized that when they put him in. Well, I don't know if 2K proper did it, but in the Borderlands prequel, they actually make him a playable character as a clone of him. So you get all the kind of wittiness that he has. And again, I picked these guys because they moved the story along, and I thought he was perfect for Borderlands 2 as this kind of overall villain that's seizing up all the you know, kind of the dungeon crawls that your characters are doing. And I don't know, he's exciting, he's fun to watch, everyone loved him. You know, Borderlands 2 and the Borderlands prequel is called the Handsome Jack Collection for a reason.
Right.
He's a very popular guy, and I think he earns a spot.
I haven't played either of them, but I have seen some clips from him and some stuff like that. So, like, no, it seems very cool. That's a pretty good one. Pretty good one.
Thank you.
I will go on with my number 4, which would actually be Superman from the Injustice series 1 and 2.
Bitch.
Is where I went. Someone who is normally a hero, and then because of the death of his family, the death of his love, just instantly turns evil and just will kill anyone. Just anyone who opposes him.
Fantastic.
People, even people he considers friends, Shazam, dead.
Done.
No problem. And then even continue that story into Injustice 2 with Brainiac's invasion, that after he gets freed, that even when they solve the big crisis, the world is saved, we can kind of go back to being normal. No, now I'm going to try and impose my will yet again, just trying to rise back up. And so that is what they did with that character and what they did with that story. I absolutely loved.
Yeah,
absolutely great.
They kind of ate up those old pages of comic books of like the what ifs, you know what I mean? And it's always been one of those things of everyone's mind is, what if Superman does fucking snap? And if you have not played Injustice, great call, man. I didn't even think about that. That is a fantastic way to see what Superman should be like. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, if he was, in fact, evil. And so it's perfect representation. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, or if you want to watch The Boys on Amazon, Homelander is a...
You were telling me about it.
I'm telling you, man, you got to watch The Boys. Maybe we can watch it tomorrow. It's fantastic. I binge watched it in one day. So moving into my number 3, and I'm going to say it like this. It's not necessarily a villain unless you make him a villain. So
it's all your point of view.
Yeah, one of Andrew's kind of, things where, is he opposing you? Is he in your way? Is he getting in the way of what you want to do? And if you want to be a bad character, this thing definitely stands in your way, and it's the Big Daddy. The Big Daddy, from the first moment you ever see him, is one of the most scariest things.
Brick shithouse.
Dude, when he fucking rams that guy with that claw and just throws him, and that's the trailer, or I think the opening cutscene, you're like, what the fuck? So, essentially, what the Big Daddy is a protector of these certain characters in the BioShock franchise, 1 and 2 at least, and you don't have to go after them and fight them, because if you're going to play kind of the pacifist character that wants to save the girls, you don't have to mess with them. But if you want to be the one that wants to harvest the little girls,
you got to get through him first.
Yeah, you're not getting to them without fighting a big daddy. And I got to tell you, when it came out on the 360, it was one of the most terrifying boss battles ever. Because the thing is just so brick, it's so tank, it's just, it hammers you down, it takes all the ammunition you have. And in a world where they were kind of doing that post-utopian kind of very, very dark world, you know, he fits in there perfectly. So
I've only played 1 and a little bit of 2, but that is something that I remember the most is the big daddies. And the first time running into one, that's something that I don't forget. Whereas I don't really remember the rest of that game.
Right, because you either can skate by him or you can fight him, and fighting him is your whole fucking day. So
no, that's a good one. That's a good one. I like that. So what do you got? Number 3 will be Wesker from the Resident Evil series.
Albert
More
Wesker?
Specifically, I'm glad you remember that first name.
Oh, dude,
More
I'll never forget Albert
specifically
Wesker.
would be Resident Evil number 5.
Okay.
Because
Who
that's...
makes that for?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He's the main benefacto villain of that game. Just amazing fucking dialogue. Really smooth. You haven't played 5, have you?
No.
After this, I want to show you a scene.
Okay.
Because it has one of the best fight scenes that they put into the movie, which wasn't good. But man, it's
movie?
Yeah, it's like midway through the game.
Albert Wesker's in the movies and the games?
Yeah, even though he's not good in the movies, they use this scene and then kind of tore off some of it to where it's not good, but just the scene from the game is so good, and he's just an amazing villain. He's so over the top. His dialogue is just great. The way he taunts you the whole time, his plan, and it's even an ongoing meme where you'll see it all the time where people will, like, even when they were announcing, oh, Resident Evil 5 is now finally coming to the Switch, which is, like, the last console it needs to be on, like, the number one comment on a lot of forums is, like, ensuring complete global saturation, which is something he says throughout the game, and so it's just one of those things that just caught on. And I know a lot of people think that it's a bad game, and maybe if you played by yourself, it could have been. I've always played it with a partner, and so for me, that game is an amazing game.
So this is Albert Wesker from 5.
Right.
Because the only one I remember from is number 1 when they do the live action opening scene is Albert Wesker. So yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's fantastic. I never saw that coming out of you.
He's great in 1, but I just don't think he really took out till 5.
On there.
Oh yeah, I was about to say. Forget it. I'm ready to see what year next. I'm surprised we haven't had any crossover yet.
Yeah, that's because me and Andrew, we haven't showed each other our lists, right? I mean, I don't even like them peeking over here.
Oh, I've been flipping my pages back and forth
because we wanted to have this idea. You know, let's do it. Let's talk about it and let's see what we come up with. My number 2 is probably the most. I don't want to call it generic, but probably the most. If you were to look up a top 10 villain list, he's probably on it. And by sheer design, the Joker in the Arkham series is my number 2, because at a time when we were playing games on the 360 when it came out, there was no video game like Arkham City that represented superheroes in that way. So not only did Batman become the coolest goddamn character you ever got to play with, his weapons, his combat, the rogues gallery, Joker is your main antagonist.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And Mark Hamill.
Yeah, when you're followed by dialogue that's Mark Hamill, that's arguably considered the best Joker anyway by some people, it was fantastic. So when you mix my love of video games mixed with great voice acting that Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill can do, he steals the show. You're waiting for the next scene the Joker pops up in, so he can just move the story along and just talk shit to you.
Dialogue's amazing.
Yeah, so I got to give my shout out to Mark Hamill, and the Joker in my eyes is easily one of the best films.
There's nothing wrong with putting it on your list, and the reason you see it on so many is because it's so good.
Right.
It has to be on there. It's a given. Which he didn't even really cross mine from my list. I was actually more leaning towards Scarecrow, but Arkham Knight, just because
fine too,
I love Scarecrow and I love what they did with him in Arkham Knight when they made him that badass and he had that glove with all the syringes and stuff.
What a cool way to reinterpret Scarecrow, because they never done that in live action. I don't think he's ever had, or maybe in the Gotham show.
No, he's always throwing the gas. It was never like a syringe or anything like that. Dude, so I'll give that as an honorable mention. But no, that's a great one.
Nice.
My
number 2.
My number 2 is going to be Shao Kahn from Mortal Kombat.
Ooh, nice.
He's the main villain of 2, main villain of 3, and then coming back to play Mortal Kombat, technically 9. No, number 9. Oh. He's in 11, But Mortal Kombat 9, where you do the reboot the story, that's where I felt like they really did him justice. Because he was this person before that he always talked to you, just talk shit to you, and you could read the background story. But once you played 2 and 3, and then going back and doing 9 and getting like the full story when they reboot it, just seeing what a brick shithouse he is.
Yeah, he's a fucking monster.
The game opens on 9. The way they start the reboot is everybody's dead from everybody fighting, and the final 2 people standing are just him and Raiden. And Raiden's just getting his ass whipped. That he sends his message back in time, and that's kind of what reboots the story. Just right as about to get his fucking head smashed in like a melon, dude.
Smashed in with that
and
hammer.
He's just absolutely great in that game, and just even when you finally get the fight to him, even on the easiest mode, like he still kind of kicked my ass a few times too. Like he's
nice choice.
Just someone who will impose that will, like just a brick shit house.
Yeah, because I really enjoyed him in the last game too. I was just like, dude, he's one of the funnest parts.
Dude, he's a great character and a great villain. Let's see that number 1.
Don't peek. So my number 1, and I snuck the shirt in. I don't know if Andrew caught the reference. Metal Gear is Revolver Ocelot.
From which game though? That's my number 1 too.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Revolver Ocelot is your number 1?
Revolver Ocelot is my number 1. I won't say what game. What game are you going?
Oh, mine. Oh, see now my original. Oh no, it's number 1 because Metal Gear Solid PlayStation 1998. So when I was a lad, right, 1998.
I should have caught the hint when he wore that shirt too.
I'm 11 years old. So the first time I remember, because I didn't play the game first, I watched my dad play it. And when you watch someone play this game, it's just as entertaining as playing the game, because Hideo Kojima,
it's like a movie.
Is just yeah, exactly. You're watching this thing, and so even watching someone play it is fantastic. So when you get to this part of your first boss battle with Revolver Ocelot, he's got like tripwires in every which way.
Yeah.
And you have to run around this room and not trigger them, because if I'm not mistaken, the hostage you're trying to save is tied to the middle.
Yeah.
So if you hit that tripwire, it just blows up. And that's why he's so badass. He's ready to just die with you. And he's so badass that he can shoot his fucking revolvers across the way. So not only was it one of the first cool boss battles I got to see my dad do, because up until then it was a lot of cartoony games that you got to see. This was really grounded. But by the time I was old enough to finally play the game and
there was nothing like that out there at the time. Yeah,
the way he talks is so articulate. The way he moves and functions, the way his character is just. There's more you find out about this character throughout the game, so I won't get too much into that. But Revolver Ocelot is, I think, the coolest villain that's ever graced the
he cannot be wrong if he's my number 1 as well. But I will take Revolver Ocelot.
MGS2?
Metal Gear Solid 3.
3 when he's younger?
Snake Eater. Okay. Oh man, he's such a badass.
Walk me through that.
You meet him, he's a lot younger, but he's still over the top. Just his dialogue's great. He's just so full of himself, so cocky. Even the first time you meet him, he's not using his revolvers yet. Snake actually recommends that to him because he's using this pistol, and he tries to do like a weird eject the clip, put the clip back in, and then cock the bullet himself before shooting, that the bullet jams, and so Snake beats his ass. And then he's using a different gun later on, and Snake tells him, you recoil your elbow a little bit. That's more of a revolver technique. You're not suited out for, a regular pistol. So that's why he starts using revolvers. But then even the next revolvers, they're not good enough because he forgets how many bullets are in them. He's not used to the shooting them.
So you're going to watch this character evolve into what he is.
My absolute favorite scene, though, he does it twice in the game, is the first time, I forget the scientist's name that you're trying to save, but he's telling him, he's like, you know what? We're going to test your luck.
Oh, the girl?
No. The chick's Tatiana and Eva. No, it's her lover. I forget his name. Sokolov.
Okay.
The Russian guy with the monocle. He's taunting him. He's like, we're going to test your luck. He puts a bullet in the chamber of one of his revolvers, and he has 3 of them. And he juggles them. He's like, I'm going to pull the trigger 12 times or something like that, and we'll see how lucky you are. So he's just juggling these revolvers and then just... Oh man, it's so badass, and then
I'm
he does
so
it
happy
later
that you
on too.
picked Revolver Ocelot as I had a bad feeling you were gonna pick like Liquid Snake or something.
No
like
way, no. There's nothing
we're both Metal Gear
above.
fans.
Yeah, there's nothing above Revolver Ocelot for me, especially
just, I'll show you the younger one and I get the older one.
I'll show you the video after this. There's a dude of his actor.
No, I was just gonna say the guy that does the movement
with all the pistols. Did I send that to you the other day?
No, I've seen it before.
Oh yeah, where he does all the same movements. 12 shots.
Actually, we'll post that link in the bottom in the description of this because it's a guy that actually reenacts Revolver Ocelot thing. So that is fantastic. I'm so happy.
I can't believe we had the same top number one. That was pretty cool though. But I am excited to hear some of your guys's.
Yeah, guys, leave your top 5 villains of all time. And again, think outside the box, right? Like I said, these aren't our favorite villains of all time. These are just our favorite villains, or at least for mine. I can't speak for Andrew. That moved stories along, that moved the plot along, that kept the game interesting, that had cutscenes that I loved looking forward to. So leave yours down there. I'm very curious to know how those come out.
Yeah, for sure. And if anything, maybe recommend another top 5 that we could do. I mean, we want to do more stuff like this.
Yeah,
so
leave a top 5. So I'm just going to recap. Mine is Jack Baker from Resident Evil 7, Handsome Jack from Borderlands 2 and the Handsome Jack collection, the Big Daddy from BioShock 1 and 2, Mark Hamill's Joker from the Arkham Asylum City Night series, and Revolver Ocelot from Metal Gear Solid original PlayStation in 1998. Andrew, what did you have again?
Number 5 was Leland Van Horn from Condemned. Amazing game. Superman from the Injustice series. Get out there and try it if you haven't. Wesker from Resident Evil 5.
Fucking Wesker.
Shao Kahn from Mortal Kombat. And then again, Revolver Ocelot, Metal Gear Solid 3. Can never go wrong with that.
Fantastic, guys. So again, let us know what your guys' top 5 is. That comes at the end of this episode, guys. These are going to be short little burst top 5s that we're going to be offering you guys. Leave your comments down below. Let us know what we should do left. So until next time, guys. My name's Perales. That is Mandrew Montemayor. Cheers.
Hey, you're pretty good.
Oh, he did not.